Alright, setting up. Okay, let's get started. Today I'm going to start my first ever YouTube video, and it's a very special day for me because it's the 21st of November, which is my birthday. So I thought it'd really be a nice occasion to actually do something really creative that I've never ever thought I'd do in my life. I'm going to start by telling you why am I creating a YouTube channel. So basically 2 years ago, after COVID hit, I started my own vintage business, and before that I was studying fashion design in Italy, in Florence. And I started posting on my clothes online, modeling them, doing videos, and I created my Instagram account. Only recently I started taking TikTok a bit more seriously and posting on it. And I really love creating this short form content and creating videos and being really creative with basically not just about selling vintage clothes, it's about really bringing this lifestyle to you, or this culture, and I really love recreating that. But obviously, because it's much shorter content, it kind of limits me in how much I can actually bring to you. And that's why basically I'm creating it, because I would really love to share all the knowledge I've acquired over the years, because I also used to do, I did design and art studies before going to Italy, in Bordeaux in France. So I have the design and art space. My dad also was an artist and studied cinema, so I really grew up with all of that. And then I went to study fashion design, and then basically every time I post a vintage item online for sale, I always do a load of research about the brand, the era, the style, everything. And so I thought, I'm doing all this research anyway, why not actually really share it to all of you and bring a lot more value and culture and understanding? Because I mean, even me, I used to, I knew what the 50s was and everything, but I didn't know like in so much precision. And it's crazy also the amount of brands that used to be really high brands, like everyone used to wear them, and now they don't exist anymore. And I find it such an important part of our culture as a country and just as a world culture also. And so that's what I'm going to start doing, is basically posting videos. Firstly, I can share videos about makeups, like for example, I posted on TikTok a 60s cat eye makeup tutorial, and people seem to really like it. And so here I could actually create a more in-depth video about a 60s iconic makeup, or like for example, if you really liked a Bridget Bardot makeup, I can recreate any of these kind of makeup styles from movies or just general styles and everything. And that's number one. Number two is I'm actually going to do, I would love to do basically a weekly kind of video, a culture video, fashion culture video that would then be linked to a newsletter I'm now creating for you. So you have it in written form and in video content, in which I would talk about the story time. So for example, about a style of an era. So let's say I was doing 50s, then I could talk about, really focus on the 50s, and so I would talk about the movies, the style, the architecture, the fashion, kind of englobe everything in a more general video, so it wouldn't last like 3 hours long. I could also do a very specific category of the style, because obviously 10 years of an era is really long, you have all different variants of styling. So let's say recently also I had done a video on capri pants on TikTok and Instagram. So here I could do a video where I was talking about that much more in depth, or actually like talk about multiple vintage items that are really iconic of that style. So what I mean is, for example, let's say the 60s style, I'll talk about the trousers, I'll talk about the jumps, like all the items that were classics for that style, so like the indispensable of that style, and talk more in depth about the history, where they came from, what it brought to the culture, to society, all of that. Could also talk about an actual fashion designer or brand. So let's say, because as I was saying before, recently, for example, I posted a Moschino coat for sale, and obviously I researched all about Moschino. And so here I could do a video and I looked at the videos of the fashion shows, researched all about him, about the brands. So here I could do, for example, share a video about him. Or about Chanel and the history of the brand and the designer, how they got to where they were, and basically what made it iconic. Next, it could also be about storytelling about an icon. So let's say an actress like Brigitte Bardot or Catherine Deneuve, Sophia Loren, or it could also be old Hollywood American actresses, Katharine Hepburn, Audrey Hepburn, all these actresses. So you can basically, you'll be able to tell me whether it's in a newsletter, in the comments, or who you want, and then I can always do votes, or I can just pick out to see what would be best for all of you, and I'll do a video about them. So I'll do the research and then I'll share it, so it's already all the huge amounts of information out there. I'll focus in on something. Also, for example, recently I've read a book about Sophia Loren, her autobiography. I've read Brigitte Bardot's memoir. I've just read Greta Garbo biography about her. So basically I'm doing all the research so you don't have to do it so in depth, and bringing all the knowledge to you. So this is the basis of what I would like to share on my YouTube account. The second part would be much more of backstage, so I can show a bit more of me and what I do in my vintage business and how I create it, and basically everything. So it could be as much like, for example, taking you on a backstage kind of vlog style with me for a photo shoot, or videos, also showing you maybe the process when I edit the photos, maybe even teaching you a little bit, and how I edit videos, maybe also showing you, still kind of like a vlog form, very easy, when sometimes I do voiceovers for some videos, and sometimes my dad maybe does music for them, so that would be all the content creation. Then I could also share about you, all about the vintage business, like when I pack the parcels, what goes into it, basically, like more in depth than just when you just see the envelope. So I prepare the clothes for a photo shoot, for getting them all ready, the measurements, like all the processes I do in my vintage business, up to the selling and the packing. And like, you know, even like when I have like, for example, recently I had my selection of my vintage clothes in a pop-up in Bordeaux, or now at the moment I have a selection on Galeries Lafayette online. And so just sharing all of that, and also what I'd really like to share with you is the process of how I'm developing my vintage brand and making it much more than just about selling vintage clothes. And so, like, for example, I could share in a more business side also. I'm creating a newsletter so that anyone that actually wants to start their own kind of business could perhaps be inspired by those processes and actually really understand how it works. And also because I would love to create my own fashion brand, because it's kind of what I've always wanted to do. So I love to share with you eventually, when I start doing it, the whole process of how you start a fashion brand as just a young 20-year-old woman who just does it all herself and goes out there, and I hope you'll be able to inspire you to really believe in your dreams and go for it. And so yeah, I'd love to share when I start really creating and all that, because there's what you see and there's also what I do. Like, I'm still doing a ton of fashion sketches, and so yeah, like I love to share that, but that would obviously be more in the future. Like, there I'm just giving you extra. So I think I've said everything. The main focus would basically be to really be able to bring you some value and vintage culture of fashion, design, maybe design in general even. Like, it could be about an era, even like furniture design, art, it all connects together. And I mean, most fashion designers today anyway just blatantly copy, so at least then you would really know more about all of it and really have an understanding of society, like why is society like it is nowadays, about style-wise, fashion-wise, cinema-wise, like where it actually came from, because it's only a result of what was before. And I find that really interesting, how by having the knowledge you can actually acquire it and understand how society works, so how it works now, and then use it to grow and evolve basically from it, because you have all this knowledge and understanding of our society. And yeah, I would love to bring loads of value to you, and so you could, in the comments now or anytime, tell me what would you like the subject to be for storytelling or makeup, or so it can be anything, like I said, fashion designer, makeup, style, fashion style, specific item, specific icon, anything literally, and I'll see what I can do. I'll do the research and I'll do a video about it specifically. So I'm a bit camera shy, I think, as you can tell, and I've been kind of repeating myself, but yeah, so you have some videos more on set like here, and some videos where I actually take you outdoor and show you what the process is. And so I hope you'll love it, and I'm sending lots and lots of love, and you're all the best. Believe in your dreams and do what you love, because the most important thing at the end of the day, we're here to grow, to evolve, to expand, and we can only do that by being confident in ourselves and doing things we appreciate and seeing the good in the world. And so yeah, let's support each other and grow. So lots and lots of love.